Hi, hello, welcoming you back with a pet pairing video, which I haven't done like in a really long time. In between being away on holiday and having other things to film, I haven't really done a pet pairing video, I think in at least like 2 or 3 weeks. Apologies for that. And I've had the look that we're going to do today in my mind already for several weeks, and I haven't done that by myself because I really wanted to share it with you. So I hope it's going to turn out well. It's not going to be super special, just like a really fun layering, I think, hopefully. And as a little fun extra bonus, I picked up 2 of the Forever Glow Maximizers from Dior. A very bold move on my side because I'm not really a liquid like highlighter blush person. I prefer, I think, sticks and creams, but we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to start doing my makeup with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion and tell you a little bit about my holiday. So the last time we saw each other, we talked about the Lisa Eldridge Balm, and I totally forgot to mention at the end of the video that I was going to be gone for like a week because my son is 5, and at that stage at school they have a lot of like free days, like days when they just don't really go to school. And this year they decided to plug all of these days like together and make a week out of them. And already when they announced that, my husband was like, okay, we should just definitely make use of those 5 days, and instead of sending him to like the after school care and continuing to work, we should just, you know, pack our bags and go somewhere nice, warm and sunny and make real use of these extra holiday days. So I figured, you know what, why not? My son has a lot of holidays, but like I can't take all of the holidays, and I hadn't actually taken any real holiday this year. I had taken a few like days here and there, but not really a holiday. So when I'm telling you that by the time we left I was really ready for a holiday, I'm not even joking. I'm going to take the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade 3 and 1. I've shaded up because we will get to that in a little bit, but I was at the pool 7 out of 7 days, so I did change color a little bit. So this is the only basically foundation that I have that is sort of like a shade match for me when I get a bit of a tan, and it's not even the foundation that I bought myself. One of my friends at work gifted it to me because she just wasn't using it, and coincidentally it happens to be like a really good match for me when I have a bit of a tan. Unfortunately, that means that I can't use a lot of my other really nice foundations, like the Prada foundation. I think it will be probably until the end of the year, or I'll have to mix it with things in order to be able to use it, because that foundation was already like a little too light for me. And now with a tan and with probably a high possibility of getting even more tan because I'm going on my actual summer holiday in 6 weeks, which is also going to be at the beach, I think I'm actually hoping that the 3 and 1 from Estee Lauder will be fine. But anyway, going back to the holiday. So they when they announced that this was going to happen, we thought, okay, we will go somewhere. And my parents' husbands had been to Croatia, to this place, already several times, and they recommended going there. So I come originally from Bulgaria. My husband originally is from Bosnia, and we're both Eastern European. And when we go to summer holidays, I usually take us to the Black Sea because that's my, you know, passion and love. And I'd never actually been anywhere from the region that he comes from. I've never been to Bosnia, and I had actually never been to Croatia. So when he suggested going to Croatia for this little mini holiday, I was like, yeah, great. It gives me the opportunity to see Croatia a little bit and to get away. And like I said, I was really ready for a holiday, not only because I was just getting super tired and cranky from being a bit stressed at work, but also I cannot even begin to tell you how awful the weather has been here this year. We chose actually a really good week to go away, because the week we were away it was, I want to say 11 degrees here and non-stop rain. Oh, I should probably tell you what I'm doing for my concealer. I'm going to take a tiny bit of the Chanel Sublime, but I think I'm going to just mix that a little bit with a different shade, because it is maybe just a tad too light for me right now. I'm going to take this one from the, oh gosh, First Aid Beauty. I had a hard time remembering this when I was using it regularly, and now it was like totally out of my brain. So this is the Bendy Avocado Concealer. I still have this in the shade number 3. I this has been discontinued. It's a wonderful, very hydrating concealer, and when I first bought it, I bought the wrong shade, because this shade is basically a good match for me, like sort of now, but not really if I am my normal pale self. But I think now, and also as a mixer for my somewhat lighter concealers, it is absolutely perfect. I think this works well. I could probably even just go for the First Aid Beauty concealer. But anyway, I'll save that for later when I have like a real tan, because I feel like now it won't really brighten underneath my eyes. It will be more or less my shade, and I do like a little bit of a brightening effect underneath my eyes. Anyway, so we went to Croatia, first time in Croatia. We didn't really do any traveling, so if you think that I saw a lot of Croatia, you would be wrong. I basically saw the airport at Split, because we went to a village which is about 50 kilometers away from Split. The village is called Brela, for those of you who come from Croatia or have been to Croatia and might have any idea what I'm talking about. But the village where we went to is called Brela. And it is like the bigger city in the region. The region is called Dalmatia, and the bigger city in that region is called Split. I didn't really get to see much of Split, if I'm being honest. I saw the airport, and then we hopped on a little taxi service shuttle thing, and he drove us through the beautiful mountain area there towards the village where we were staying at the hotel there. I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder to set my foundation. So we stayed at a hotel the whole like 7 days that we were there, a hotel that is right at the Adriatic Sea. Honestly, like most of Croatia is at the Adriatic Sea, so that doesn't really say much, but you know, it was just a hotel, and then you go down the stairs and you're at the beach. It was also a hotel that had several swimming pools, including a really beautiful infinity pool where my son could go crazy, because I love the sea. I would always choose to swim in the sea over the swimming pool. For whatever reason, I just find the sea to be a much more like hygienic place than the swimming pool. I mean, I think swimming pools have come a long way and they're like fairly clean. But, you know, swimming pools are full of kids, and kids are disgusting, and they release all sorts of fluids that I do not want to be swimming in. Anyway, besides the point. But the hotel had several swimming pools, because my son is more of a swimming pool person. He does not really like the sea, because the sea is too cold for his tender soul. He did try to go into the Adriatic Sea, and in his defense, when you go to the beach in Eastern Europe in the middle of June, the sea will still be not really cold, but on the more lukewarm temperature for my taste. So where I come from, we go to the beach usually in July and August, and the Black Sea at that point at the coast is already at a pleasant temperature of 27 to 28 degrees. So that's the temperatures that I'm used to. I've been to the Black Sea once in early June, and I recall the temperature of the water was like 21-22 degrees, so it was possible to swim, and I did go in the water, but it was not as, you couldn't really stay for as long as you would when the water is 27 or 28 degrees. And the Adriatic Sea, I feel like, was more or less at that point. I feel like the temperature was maximum like 23-24 degrees, which for me was fine. Like once I would get in the water and sort of like acclimatize to the temperature, it was very pleasant. But for my son's tastes, you know, and we're talking about someone who is used to like the tropical swimming pool here, it was way too cold. So he did try to go in once, but he didn't really enjoy the experience. Not to mention that at the Adriatic Sea, the beach is very like stony. It's not really sandy, or at least not at a place where we were. My mom-in-law said that because we were there with my mom-in-law, my father-in-law was supposed to come, but unfortunately he couldn't find a replacement. He's a GP, he owns a GP practice, and he couldn't find anyone to substitute him for 2 of the days that we were going to be on holiday. So unfortunately he stayed behind. Okay, since we're going to use the Dior Glow Maximizers, I'm going to go for like cream and like liquid type products for the rest of my makeup, like face makeup. So I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Sunkissed Glow Bronzer in the shade number 2, which is the medium shade. I think that's going to fit perfectly right now. So he couldn't join us, and like I said, my husband and his family have been to Croatia and Montenegro and like the region very many times. In fact, I think my husband mentioned that they had stayed in the village next to Brela years ago, which he personally didn't even remember. But anyway, she said that the beaches towards Dubrovnik are more sandy and especially more towards maybe Montenegro, but where we were staying the beaches were quite narrow and quite stony, which is also not something that I am used to, because the Black Sea, or at least the coastline in Bulgaria, is all beautiful fine sand, and the more south you go, the more fine the sand becomes. It's like a carpet, it's so soft. So it took a bit of getting used to, and I know you can buy like the special shoes to get in the sea. Grandma actually bought the special shoes for Nicola to convince him to get inside the sea and on the beach, but honestly I think it was a waste of money, because he basically went inside once, found it too cold, came out, and that was it. And I thought, you know, if I get to the water with my flip-flops, just go in, come out, back in the flip-flops, it's all fine. I got used to the stony beaches quite fast. It was all fine, and I really enjoyed the Adriatic Sea. The Adriatic Sea is considerably saltier than what I'm used to, because the Black Sea is borderline a lake. It's really not a very salty sea. I think it used to be a lake once upon a time, many years ago. So it's not a very salty sea, so you can easily like open your eyes underwater and it won't sting. I've really been enjoying this Suku liquid shimmer liquid blush in the shade number 3 that I've had for several years. This is actually more than halfway gone. I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful like liquid blush that has a bit of that beautiful gel formula to it. I really enjoy it. So I'm going to just spread a little bit like this on the back of my hand and stipple it on with my brush. And then we're going to go into the Dior Glow Maximizers. Now, one of the shades that I got I think might work as a blush, but I don't quite dare to use it as a blush yet. So I'm just going to go for my Suku Shimmering Liquid Blush, because I really enjoy that, especially in the summer, and now is really the time to use it. I will not be using it in the winter, so I might as well just pop it on now. So like I said, Adriatic Sea considerably saltier. I tried to open my eyes underwater and it stung, so I didn't try that again. But it was very pleasant to swim in there. The water is like this beautiful clear turquoise blue color, which was really impressive and just really like something you would see on a postcard. Like the water in that sea was exactly the color that you would see on a postcard. It was gorgeous. And then in the backdrop of the sea you have the beautiful mountains. It was so picturesque and so beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just so serene. I found it so restful to be there, you know, just hang out at the pool, read a book, go back to the hotel room, take a nap, take a short stroll in the evening just along the coastline. It was just one of the most relaxed holidays you can imagine. Grandma said that she's never had such a relaxed holiday, which made me think, how do you do holiday then? Because like that's the point of holiday for me, to like go and relax to the absolute maximum. Okay, let me remove the Suku Shimmering Liquid Blush and show you the shades of the Dior Glow Maximizer that I got. So I got two shades. I got these shades... oh gosh. Let me find out. Oh yeah, the shades Gold and Peachy. Now, these have been out for a while, and as usual, I took my sweet time to try them. First of all, because like I said, I'm not really a liquid highlighter blush type of person, although this makes a case for the opposite. Every now and then I am, depends on the formula. But these have been getting such really good reviews, and I've become such a fan of like Dior's makeup that I figured I trust Dior to make a really solid liquid blush bronzer slash highlighter type formula, because these come in a variety of different shades that you can use either as a blush, highlighter or bronzer. And I wanted to pick up a shade that is a little bit more peachy, and that might work really well for me once I get even more tan. I'm not actually sure, maybe we will try this a little bit as a highlighter today as well. Maybe worth mentioning that I do have one of their luminizers. This one is in the shade Nude Glow, and this is one of my absolute most favorite highlighters that I have picked up lately. I think it is just such a beautiful, smooth baked gelée formula. One of my favorite highlighters ever. And I didn't want to pick the shade Nude because I figured it might be too close to this one, so I didn't want to repeat myself shade-wise. And I usually use these types of products more towards like the spring and summertime. So I figured I should get them in shades that are a bit more spring and summer appropriate. So I thought gold and peachy are beautiful. I can use them separately, I can mix them up. I could try to use the shade Peachy possibly as a blush. So I haven't opened these, I haven't done anything with them. They arrived yesterday, I left them in the package and I thought we're going to open them together today. They are very hefty. They have this like glass bottle packaging that is really hefty in the hand. So I don't know that this would be the best for traveling because of how weighty they are, but they do look very beautiful and luxurious. So let's quickly swatch each of the shades. Let's start with the shade Gold. So they come with like this little large doe foot applicator, and you can probably just apply straight on your face with the doe foot or apply like this on the back of your hand. So this is the shade Gold, which looks like a beautiful neutral champagne gold, which basically disappears together with my skin tone and is just going to add right now a lot of glow to my skin, but not really much color because I'm also a little bit more tan. And I'm actually very curious to compare this to Nude Glow, because Nude Glow does have a little bit of that same, you know, slight golden champagne undertone to it. So I'm actually very curious. Yeah, Nude Glow is indeed a bit more nude in tone, and you can see so shiny and impactful. This is a bit more on the subtle side, and right now you can't even see much of it because the shade is indeed a little bit deeper and more golden compared to Nude Glow. And let's also swatch the shade Peachy. I'm very curious about this shade in particular because I'm curious if it might work as a blush. Oh yeah, that actually might work as a blush just fine for me. What am I gonna do? Now, let me blend this out a bit. I don't know that this will be working as a highlighter for me right now. I think it's more of a blush. I might mix the two. I think maybe that's what I'm going to attempt to do on my cheekbones actually. So I think on this side I'm just going to try to put a drop or like a little drop of this one. That's not a little drop, that's actually a really large drop. Let me zoom you in also a little bit. And then I'm going to put a smaller drop of this one. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to try mixing the two shades together to see what happens. Because I think the combination of the two shades might make a really good highlighter for me. Oh yeah, that's very nice. Blends out very easily. Looks very natural on the skin. It doesn't have the same like glass effect that my stick highlighter from Victoria Beckham does. But it looks very natural and it blended out very easily on the skin. I feel like it's not pulling my foundation, it's not sitting weirdly on, because that's really the problem with liquid products, that sometimes they just like mess everything up and then you end up having to fix things, which is really not very efficient. But this looks very nice and I feel like it's also starting to set a little bit. Nice, I like this. I think I'm just going to repeat what I did on this cheekbone as well, because I feel like that went pretty okay, and I would rather just apply a little bit like this, maybe a tiny dot here, and then a little bit more of the shade Peachy, and just use my sponge. I think that's a rather neat way to apply these. But the formula feels really nice. Very like user-friendly, I would say. And definitely subtle. This is not something that's like going to add a lot of shine, a lot of like that glass effect on the skin. It just looks like a bit of like a natural glow. Well, I will keep on using these and let you know. And also I just wanted to show you, because now that they've been on my hand for a little bit, we can try to see whether they're set. I'm rubbing them and they've actually set quite nicely. So if you were afraid of these, you know, remaining sticky, I don't think that's the case. They set quite nicely. I am going to come back at some point and try this one as a blush, so we can see together how that applies as a blush. I think it might be quite nice because I didn't really see any like shimmer or glitter. It was more like you know, a slightly more satin to metallic-y type finish. I was a little bit concerned to use that today as a blush just because I'm going to work, and in case I happen to not like it, I didn't want to risk it. But as a highlighter, especially the two shades mixed together worked really well, and I am still intrigued to try this one as a blush at some point. Alright, I am going to start on the eye look. I'm going to grab Celestial Divinity, and we're going to once again stay in this corner here because this is, I think, basically the corner that I gravitate towards 90% of the time when I'm using this palette. I'm going to first start off with the neutrals. I'm going to put this one through my crease and this one, you know, in my usual winged out shape in my lash line. And this is the shade that we're going to use on the lids today. But we're going to get to that in a little bit. So basically, to sum up, we had an amazing 1 week in Croatia. The weather was amazing. I was drunk on vitamin D. I hadn't seen so much sun since September last year. I think that was the last time I saw so much sun in, you know, several consecutive days. Because like I said, the weather in the Netherlands has been rather atrocious. And it's getting to the point where even the Dutch are starting to complain, and they're usually, I mean, if you ask the Dutch, they're always complaining about the weather, but I always feel like when it comes to the terrible weather, they prefer their weather to be cooler, so they always disagree with expats when we start to complain that it's always raining and it's always too cold. Also, I don't really know what's going on here. I applied too much color and I'm having a really hard time blending it out. I don't really know why, but I should probably just be careful and apply a little bit less. I got used to applying very gently pigmented eyeshadows from luxury brands, and I forgot how pigmented that can be. So anyway, like I said, a lot of sun, a lot of sea, a lot of pool time. Everyone enjoyed. I started reading my latest Connie Wills book. We've talked about Connie Wills before, that on my previous holiday I started reading her novels, and I really enjoyed them. So she has this, like, Connie Wills is a science fiction author, and she has this series of books about a group of Oxford historians who travel back in time to observe historical events. And last year I mentioned that I had read Blackout and All Clear, which are like 2 books, but they are one sequential story. And I also read towards, I think, maybe the winter time Doomsday book, which was also awesome. So they're all set in different like periods of time. Blackout and All Clear are set into World War II. Really cool story, actually. Doomsday book is set in the Middle Ages, and I find the book that I'm reading now, which is called To Say Nothing of the Dog, is set in the Victorian era, and I find it to be also like very humorous. Okay, I still don't know what's going on this side, so I'm sorry if you're seeing a little bit of a line. I don't really know how to fix that. I'm going to try to apply my brow bone highlight, and maybe that will help the situation a bit. So I'm just going to apply a powder that's sort of the color of my skin, and see whether we can blend over that a little bit easier, or otherwise we're just going to have to accept that this is going to look slightly unblended. What can you do? Blackout and All Clear were set in World War II, so while there were like humorous moments in the books, it's not necessarily like a happy fun time story. Doomsday book was even less of a happy story. Doomsday book was like very serious, and it took like a very how should I put this, dramatic turn towards the end. So I don't want to give away too much just in case you want to read the books, which I would highly recommend. But To Say Nothing of the Dog has a lot of like that humorous tone to it, and a lot of like, it has a very comedic style of writing, which I'm really enjoying. And lately I've been on a binge with the Victorian era since season 3 of Bridgerton also came out, and I've already finished season 3. If you want, we can talk about it. If you haven't caught up on it yet, we can talk about it in a different video. I'm still sort of gathering my thoughts on it. By the way, I'm now grabbing a pencil brush and going in with the darker brown shade. Still gathering my thoughts on it. I think what I want to do is possibly rewatch it like all together in one go, because I am actually quite irritated at the fact that they split the season in two, because for me that sort of ruined the experience. Previous seasons they released the whole thing all at once and I was able to watch it all at once, and now they had split the season in two with like a month of a break in between, and I found that that sort of like disturbed the flow for me. I felt like I was like dropped in the middle of a story and I had to be like, oh yeah, that's what happened previous time, and I'm supposed to all of a sudden like be in the story, which is not really possible. So I should probably have just either rewatched the first 4 episodes before binging the last 4, but you know, that's really not the point of this, right? The point was that you're going to just enjoy the rest of the story, which is not exactly what happened. So I feel like for me the strategy that they applied to releasing the show in 2 parts worked it worked in the opposite way. I did not enjoy, you know, I did not savor seeing the second part. It sort of like ruined the experience and it was a bit anticlimactic for me. Anyway, I'm going to grab a bit of the NYX glitter glue now and apply the goldenish greenish shade on my lids over top of the glitter glue. Did you guys already see Bridgerton? Are you fans of the show? I haven't read the books, just FYI. I don't know anything about the books besides what I've read on Wikipedia. So for me, I'm not really looking at the series as a reflection of the books, because I know they've taken quite a lot of liberties with that. I'm just going to use my finger, by the way, to apply this shade here all over my lids. So I just look at the TV show as like a story of itself without really relating it too much to the books. And I have to tell you that I still think that season 2, so Kate and Anthony's story, for me has been the strongest season so far. I don't know if it's because of, you know, the way the story was built that really works for my personal psychology, but I enjoyed that season the most so far. Alright, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to pile much more of that greenish gold shade, because we're going to do a bit of a fun, hopefully, layering. I'm going to now take my Sublime palette, Mothership 2. Speaking of Mothership, who else is eagerly awaiting the announcement of Mothership number 12? Okay, I'm going to take my beloved Mothership 2 and we're going to go into possibly my favorite pat shade. This is the shade VR Nectar. I've actively had to like stop myself from using this eyeshadow because I'm always afraid that I'm going to finish it. And as you probably guessed correctly, I'm going to layer this shade over top of that greenish gold to add a bit of like that peachy, pinky, coppery duochrome. Oh, that's really pretty. I like that. I don't think there's a shade you can layer VR Nectar over and for it not to work. It's just such a gorgeous shade. Absolutely beautiful. And I really like giving a little bit of that more of a greenish base, because VR Nectar on its own, I don't know whether you can see if I shift my finger in the light, has a little bit of that greenish base to it, like that limeish greenish base with that beautiful peachy pink duochrome on it. But when you intensify the green base, I think that's even prettier. Okay, for my inner corner highlight, oh gosh, this palette is just so hard to hold. For my inner corner highlight, I'm going to go back into Celestial Divinity, going to clean off my pencil brush, and I'm going to go into this shade here, which is like a pale gold shade, to apply as my inner corner highlight, because I think that should work. Oh yeah, that works very nicely with this look. I'm not going to do anything special on my lower lash line. I'm just going to take this one, mix in a little bit of the darker one, and run that on my lower lashes. Nothing crazy. Let's do sparkle moment, because you just have to see this look under artificial lighting. It is so pretty. I told you, VR Nectar just like amps everything up 10 notches. It is so pretty. I was debating a little bit what to do for lipstick. Initially I wanted to go for like a nice warm brown, something like Flash 3 or Eliza Ginger from Gucci, but in the end I decided that I'm actually really missing my Prada lipsticks, and I decided to go for the shade Cyan, which is this beautiful like nude sienna shade, which also gives a little bit of warmth to the face. I am really enjoying how this look turned out. I hope that you have enjoyed it as well. Do let me know what you thought about it. It was really fun to catch up with you after, you know, some time of not having filmed videos and especially not having made a pet pairing video, so that was really fun. I really enjoyed testing out these new Dior Glow Maximizers. I'm really enjoying them. Little question, I've been quite tempted to try the new Lancome bronzers. Has anyone tried them? What is your opinion of them? Because they look really pretty and I've developed a little bit of a soft spot for Lancome because I love their eyeshadow so much and because Lisa Eldridge is the creative director. But do I really need another bronzer? And I really like the fact that they seem to lean a bit more on the neutral side. So if anyone has tried these Lancome bronzers, the new ones, please do let me know what you think about them. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Had to work because I'm already like extremely late. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!